Good day to everyone. This is Donna Miller. You are listening to the Vote Voiced podcast. We are Vote Voiced. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We really do welcome your donations. Go to our website at www.votevoiced.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. And today is October the 28th. And today we're going to talk about voting early, voting now. And I want to say this up front. You do not have time to mail in your ballot. Okay, let's get ready to start talking about voting early. Let's get ready to talk about voting now. You have safe and secure options because you can vote now. You vote early, right? You pick up and drop off your ballot at your local election clerk's office. Now, to find the address and hours of your clerk's office, go to michigan.gov/vote. Use a drop box. Do not put your ballot in the mail. If you have not received your absentee ballot, once again, go to your clerk's office, okay? Find the location at michigan.gov/vote. You go in, take your ID, take something with your address on it. You may not need it. Take it just in case. If you do not have identification, if you do not have anything with an address on it, you can sign an affidavit. There is absolutely nothing preventing you from voting today but yourself. Nothing is preventing you, okay? Use a drop box. If you already have a ballot, fill it out, sign the back of the envelope, and drop it off at your local secure ballot drop box. You can find your drop box locations at michigan.gov/vote. Now, of course, there's lots of people who are voting for the first time. My granddaughter is voting for the first time. And when I reminded her to vote months ago, she said, "Grandma, I want to go to the polls." I said, "That's fine." She's never experienced that, and that's what she wants to do. A lot of young people are doing that. There's some people who just want to go to the polls, and that's fine. You can vote in person on Election Day, November 3rd, at your local polling place. Now, in Michigan, polling places will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you can find your polling location at michigan.gov/vote. No matter where you are, go to your Secretary of State, whatever state you live in, you can find your polling place. You can find out what time it opens and closes. Make a voting plan. If you've never made a voting plan before, let's talk about that. Think about what time you're going to go to vote. Think about that. And we want you to go to vote early because there's some courageous people who have been standing in line. Some people stood in line for 10, 11 hours. Now, they're doing that now, standing in line for early voting. Right now, there's like 68.5 million people have voted early already. That's wonderful people. These courageous, wonderful people are standing in line. They're braving rain. They're braving all sorts of weather. They are standing in line and have good humor. We thank you. We thank you, people who are out there standing in line to vote. Now, not everyone has to stand in line. I voted early. I was, really blessed here in Michigan. The Michigan Secretary of State sent out ballots to everyone who wanted to vote early. using a absentee ballot, which is something, let me say this, I've been using absentee ballot for years, 10 years. I'm just being safe. It may have been longer than that. Could be as long as 15 years. I never thought about it before. It was something I had to do years ago. And at the time I started voting absentee ballot, you had to be approved every year. You had to fill out the forms. You had to, testify, basically on the form why you were doing it. You could only do absentee ballot under certain reasons. And in the midterms, Michigan voters decided we don't want to have to do all of that. Thank God. I'm so excited that I can just vote absentee. I was so pleased and grateful that the Secretary of State in Michigan was Jocelyn Benson was able to send everyone out a application for their ballot. And you don't have to use it. You can stand in line at the polls. You can go to your clerk's office, request an application. They'll give it to you. You fill it out. You can get your ballot. You can take your ballot home, or you can fill it out. I know people say they filled it out in their car. I filled out my ballot at home. I assisted 2 other members of my family. And when you do that, you have to sign that you assisted. And I do not drive any longer, so I ordered a Lyft and I rode to the ballot box and I dropped it off. And the driver was so wonderful. He said, make sure that your ballot went into the box. This is the most important thing of our lives. And I have said this before. Voting is ours. It's my voice. It's your voice. Whatever that voice is, I respect your voice. I respect your choice. And you can choose to vote any way you like. And you know what? You can choose not to vote. This is true too. So I'm going to take a moment, in a few minutes to tell you why you need to vote. But for now, we're just going to talk about voting. Now, Election Day is fast approaching, okay? Now, if you haven't voted yet, you can vote in person at your local clerk's office, at your local polling location on Election Day. I'm going to say this again, and I say it over and over. You can find your local clerk's office and hours and your polling place at michigan.gov/vote. Okay. No matter how you choose to cast your ballot, your vote will be secure and it will count. And we've got that straight from our Secretary of State in Michigan, Jocelyn Benson, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about our federal voting assistance program. Now, as this information is current as of October 28th, 2020, okay, you can register to vote and request your absentee ballot at FVAP.gov. Now for this year's elections. Now, the Federal Voting Assistance Program, okay, is the program that you use if you are out of the country, okay? And depending on your state of legal residence, there may be still time to register and request an absentee ballot, okay? Voters can check their state registration and ballot request deadlines. They are different in many states at FVAP.gov and use the federal postcard application FPCA for register and request a ballot. Every state allows voters to request the blank ballot to be sent to them electronically, okay? Now, this is a COVID-19 election update. the FVAP, which is the Federal Voting Assistance Program, okay? This is what the military uses. Whenever our military are out of the country, if you're out of the country, you're a citizen out of the country, this is what you use to vote, okay? They've been doing this, for what? I think it's since World War II, okay? FVAP is working closely with state election offices, the Military Postal Service Agency, and other federal agencies to bring you up-to-date information on possible mailing dates. Please visit fvap.gov/COVID-19 for the latest information on any international postal disruptions, or contact your installation military post office. Now, anyone using the FVAP, the Federal Voting Assistance Program, you vote your absentee ballot as soon as you get it, and be sure to carefully follow the instructions and sign the package as indicated when returning it. To save time, send ballots electronically if allowed by state law. Voters can check if their state accepts completed absentee ballots by email, fax, or via online portal at fvap.gov/guide. Okay? If a requested ballot has not arrived, you can use the federal write-in absentee ballot. That's the FWAB immediately. It works like a backup ballot. If your official absentee ballot arrives after sending in the FWAB, complete and send in the official ballot too. Only one will be counted. Make sure the voted ballot was received by your state. You go to fvap.gov/military-voter. Click on your state and then check the status of your voted ballot button. To find your state's election website for specific information on candidates, elections, contact information, and links to your local election offices, you can just use their contact page. You can reach out directly to your election office for status updates on your registration and absentee ballot. Okay, if you would like more information on the Federal Voting Assistance Program or need help with the absentee voting process, please go to fvab.gov, or you can call 703-588-1584, toll free at 1-800-438-VOTE or DSN 425-1584, or email vote@fvap.gov. Go ahead and give them a call if you have any questions. If you're out of the country, you can vote. Okay? And everyone in the military, get your votes in. Okay? Okay. Let's just talk a little bit about the concern that some people have about everybody's vote being counted. The right to vote, to have that vote count, is the cornerstone of our democracy. But all of the experts agree it is unlikely we will have a clear result on election night. Now, I don't know. I guess we're so used to our instant fast food life that I don't think, as a voter, I think the excitement of knowing who won right away or the next day is what we're used to, but life changes. We are in the middle of a pandemic. I do not expect to know the night of the election, maybe not even the day after, to know exactly who won this presidential election or the down ballots. Because we need to make sure that every vote is counted. We have millions of early ballots. I know that all of the Secretary of States are working as hard as they can. And I know that we're getting out there and we are voting. I voted a couple of weeks ago, and I can't tell you the relief I had when I put my ballot in that box, because I didn't want anything to happen to my vote. So we as Americans, and I think that there are some people who are like, oh, we have to know, and all hell is going to break loose if we don't know, and all hell is going to break loose if my candidate doesn't win. That's not even American. It's American for you to vote, and it's American for your vote to be counted, and it's American to accept the peaceful transition of power. And no matter who wins after this 2020 election, it is American for us to accept that and have a peaceful transition of power. So I know that we need to prepare ourselves, because this election could be close. And it's never more important than now that we count every vote. Okay? So we need to make sure, people, that every vote is counted. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. Now, I have few other things we're going to talk about. Once again, I want to just say this because it's important. Election day is Tuesday, November 3rd. So I want you to please return your ballot as soon as possible. I want you to drop your ballot off at the clerk's office, a satellite office, or a secure drop box as soon as possible. Do not mail your ballot. Once again, I'm going to give you another place for you to receive information on drop-off ballot return options. You can contact your county election office at https, mvic.sos.state.mi.us. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, now. Okay, I've given you all the information about using the FVAP.gov. Okay. So you know that if you are out of the country, what to do when you're voting using the federal voting assistance program. Now, I want to talk about a few press releases from the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. Okay. Now, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson wants us to make sure that we vote early. Okay. You don't have to wait for Election Day, November 3rd this year, to cast your ballot. There are 2 safe and secure options right now to vote, Secretary Benson says. You can vote from home by by requesting your ballot at michigan.gov/vote. Okay, now the date of this press release is the 16th of October. I'm going to say this. This is the 28th. Okay, I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to say this. If you do not have a ballot yet, okay, it's too late, in my opinion, to request one and wait for the mail. But you don't have to do that. You can go into your clerk's office, request a ballot. Like I said before, give them your ID. If you don't have it, sign an affidavit. They will give you the application. You can fill out your ballot there, or you can go out in your car or take it home and bring it back to the clerk's office or drop it off. Okay? Okay. Let's talk about a press release from the Secretary Benson discussing safe voting on Election Day. Okay? As the pandemic continues and we head toward this monumental election in just a few days, there's still so much uncertainty on so many levels. But we want the voters to have the certainty and the clarity that you have options to vote this year and that all of them are safe for you to access. This is what the Secretary says. We encourage voters. Now, this is talking about going into the polls. And when I finish this, we're going to talk about the burning of the ballot boxes. We encourage voters to wear a mask if they intend to show up to vote in person. You'll certainly be met with election workers wearing masks, gloves, and having social distancing guidelines in place to protect everyone's health. For more information and resources on the upcoming election, visit michigan.gov/elections. Okay. If you're going into the polls, remember, we don't know what kind of lines you're going to see, but hey, just get ready. Just get ready, okay? Think about that. I remember when I was, years ago, you could just walk in. Gosh, I remember I think it was the midterms. I was talking to a friend of mine here in Michigan, and she was like, there was nobody at the polls. She just walked in. It is probably not going to be like that on Election Day this 2020. This is an unusual, different circumstance nobody could have dreamt up. Okay? Unfortunately, they have people burning ballot boxes. Why? I don't know. It was reported on the news that they did not think it was political. That's crazy. So luckily, we have not heard any incident like that. You're going to know if something like that happens here, which we pray to God it doesn't. I mean, it's unacceptable. It's crazy. Why are you burning other people's ballots? Why? I mean, you have absolutely no right. And I think whoever burns the ballot boxes should really have the hammer of justice come down on him. And it was the incident where they were burning up the mailboxes for fun. That's crazy. So we haven't had any incident like that here in Michigan. If you hear about an incident like that here, unfortunately, it would be horrible. I pray to God we don't. You'll know if you put your ballot in that box, and you'll know that you need to contact the Secretary of State. There was one young lady on the news I was watching, and she said that they were able to count her ballot even though it was burnt and wet. Okay, so she was very appreciative of that. So we want to make sure that we we get our ballots in early. And look, if you're going to the polls, like I said, just be ready. Take a book, take something to eat. We don't know what kind of lines we're going to see in Michigan. Let's hope that we don't have long lines. And to anybody else who's listening to this podcast, no matter what state you're in, I want to say I'm so proud of all of you who have stood in line for hours to vote. God bless you. And for all of you going to the polls, God bless you. It's a wonderful experience to go to the polls. It's always been a wonderful experience. That for me, I have no bad experiences. And it's just wonderful to see all the Americans standing in line, the people standing there. There's so many people. God bless you. So we're just so appreciative of you. Let's talk about why we vote. Okay. Remember this, people. Everyone's going to the polls in Michigan, that the polls open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Make your plan. Get there early, okay? I understand there's some people waking up an hour early. You know what you need to do to get there, okay? So make sure that you vote. Make a plan right now, okay, on how you're going to vote, okay? Let's talk about some of the things, why we vote, okay? We vote for our leaders, whoever you want your leader to be. We vote for our education. We vote for the future of our children. We vote for our health care. We're voting for trash pickup. This is something we don't even think about. We vote for our protections, our police. We vote for that. We vote for our school teachers. We vote for our universities. We vote for our communities. What makes our communities better? We vote for our dreams. So all of our children have a dream. We vote for our opportunities. Okay? We vote to end things that cause harm to our country. Right now, we have a lot of social justice issues. Black, brown, red, yellow. It affects us all. We're all in this together, okay? And unfortunately, we have to deal with some people who cause grief to all of us. We vote for a better world, okay? So I commend everyone who's voting, okay? Now, let's talk about filling out our ballots for the general election. Let's talk about filling out the absentee ballots for the general election, okay? This is important. A lot of people's ballots are not being counted around the country. And some states are letting people know, but as far as I know, it might not be all states, okay? So now you can check the status of your absent voter ballot application, okay? You can contact your city or township clerk office directly, and they have the ability to see if your ballot came in and if it was counted. I know I became a little nervous. I said, I know I signed it. That was my fear, that I'm having nightmares about if or not I signed my absentee ballot. Now, to fill out your Michigan absentee ballot for 2020. Now, once you have your ballot in your hand, it simply needs to be filled out following the written instructions attached and return it before the deadline. Now, we already know we're going to take that to a drop box or straight to the clerk's office. It is important, people, that you're cautious and that you follow the directions precisely when filling out a Michigan absent voter ballot to ensure that it's counted on election day. I'm telling you, I was having nightmares. Okay. I haven't checked with the the Secretary of State because I'm sure I did everything right. But, we're having, some folks have nightmares about these ballots. I am. If you make a mistake on your absent voter ballot, you would have to obtain a new one and start over, okay? Now, inside of your official Michigan absent voter ballot envelope is a brightly colored secrecy sleeve containing your ballot. Directions for filling out the ballot, are included on the front of the sleeve. And that's, that sleeve, you put all your ballots in that sleeve and then you put it inside the envelope. Okay. Now, here are the directions, people, for filling out your Michigan absent voter ballot for the general election. And this is what's on the sleeve, okay? To vote, you completely darken the oval opposite each choice as shown. I remember the hanging chads, okay? So I take very good care to do that little circle. And I also take very good care not to go so hard that I've made a hole in the paper. It is important to mark your ballot. You use only black or blue ink, okay? You do not use a pencil and you do not use any other ink. Okay, now there's in Michigan, there's a partisan section. Okay, there may be multiple party sections on the ballot. You select the party selection of your choice. You can split your ticket when voting in the November general election. A voter participating in a November general election who wishes to cast a split ticket can vote for individual candidates of his or her choice under any party. Do not vote for more candidates than indicated under each official title. Write-in candidates, okay? Now, you can vote for a candidate whose name is not printed on the ballot. You write or place the name of that candidate in the blank space provided and completely darken the voting target area. Do not cast a write-in vote for a candidate whose name is already printed on the ballot for that office. Check both sides of the ballot. The ballot may have two sides. Be certain to check the reverse side of the ballot. When you have completed voting, place the ballot in the secrecy sleeve so that votes cannot be seen and the number stub is visible. Now, if you make a mistake, you must return your ballot to the election official and obtain a new ballot. Do not attempt to erase or correct any marks made in error. Okay? Now, a stub is located at the top of the ballot containing numeral information needed by the clerk office to identify the ballot. If the stub detaches from your absent voter ballot while you're filling it out, you must include the stub with your ballot when it is returned. Okay? Now, completed absent voter ballots for the 2020 general election must be received by your local clerk's office by 8 p.m. on November 3rd. Once you filled out your Michigan absent voter ballot for the 2020 general election, place it inside of the brightly colored secrecy sleeve that it was presented in. This sleeve protects your votes from being read by others. Next, this is so important. This is one of the things that people miss every time. If there's the number one complaint that the Secretary of State has about these absentee ballots is this right here. Be sure to sign and date the return envelope that was provided with your absent voter ballot. All Michigan voters are required to sign the back of the envelope or the ballot will be rejected and the vote will not be counted. This is the number one step that everybody forgets. I'm going to repeat this. Be sure to sign and date the return envelope that was provided with your absent voter ballot. All Michigan voters are required to sign the back of the envelope, or the ballot will be rejected and the vote will not be counted. Now, for people who are disabled or require assistance to fill out their absent voter ballot, a signature is required from the person who assisted. This signature should be placed on the section of the back of the envelope that says "to be completed" only if voter is assisted in voting by another person. Okay, once again, once your Michigan absent ballot is packaged, it needs to be returned to your local clerk's office before the 8 p.m. deadline on November 3rd, or it will not be counted. Now, you have one option, the best option left, okay? It's too late, in my opinion. This is October the 28th. Don't even try to mail your ballot back unless you have no choice, okay? If you can, people, take your ballot to the drop box. If you can. This is what this does. Everyone who is able-bodied, one of the reasons why I took my ballot to the drop box is to relieve the pressure off the postal workers, so that the people who could not get to the clerk's office, they can use the mail service by us who are able, okay, to go into your vehicles or get somebody to drop you off or take a Lyft or Uber. Those of us who are able really should take the pressure off of the postal workers by taking our ballots to the drop box, because there are people who must mail in their ballots because they have no choice. Okay. You can return your completed ballot by mail. Okay. To ensure your ballot is received. Okay. They're recommending that you do it before October 20th. But if you cannot get to the post office and you have not returned your ballot yet, think about how long it's going to take. It really should take a day or two. But remember, the Postal Service recent delays and funding shortages has made it difficult for the Postal Service to do the job that we're normally expecting to be done. Okay. It could be that the ballots aren't returned. Okay. So if you have to mail it, do it as soon as possible. Okay. The best way to do it, okay, is that you return your completed absent voter ballot by delivering it to your local clerk's office before 8 p.m. On November the 3rd, okay? Some offices have ballot drop boxes for returning your ballot, okay? Okay, so let's just go over this real quick, okay? Okay. Lots and lots of people are mailing, have mailed in their ballots already. Okay. Lots and lots of people have taken their ballots to the drop box. Okay. Let's remember these things so that your ballot is not rejected in this 2020 general election. Carefully follow the instructions provided when filling out the ballot at home. Making a mistake will either cause the ballot to be rejected or force you to obtain a new ballot and start over again. Make sure the completed ballot is located inside of the envelope from before returning it. Okay. You just need to double check. Be sure to sign the back of the envelope that contains your absent voter ballot. This signature is expected to match your state documented signature. Ensure your completed absent voter ballot arrives at your local clerk office before 8 p.m. on November 3rd. If you aren't confident that your ballot will reach your local clerk in time through the mail, you can hand deliver it before the election. Okay. If you need to request an emergency Michigan absent voter ballot, Michigan voters can request an emergency absent voter ballot if they experience an emergency that prevented them from voting in person on election day. Officials say the emergency must occur at a time that made it impossible for the Michigan voter to apply for a regular absent voter ballot. A request for an emergency absent voter ballot must be submitted after the deadline has passed for regular absent voter ballots. In this case, it's October 30th for us here in Michigan, but before 4 p.m. on November 3rd. Emergency Michigan absent voter ballots must still be returned to the voter's local clerk's office by 8 p.m. on election day. Now, for more information about the emergency absent voter ballots, Michigan voters are encouraged to contact their local clerk's office directly. Let's talk about spoiling your Michigan absent voter ballot. To spoil an absent voter ballot means to change your vote after it has already been cast, whether it's because a candidate dropped out of the race or for any other reason. A Michigan voter hoping to spoil their previously cast vote has two options to do so. Okay? You can spoil your Michigan absent voter ballot by mail. To spoil your Michigan absent voter ballot by mail, you must send a letter to your local clerk's office stating as much. The voter must also identify if they require a new absent voter ballot or plan to vote in person at their polling precinct. A signature is also required. The letter must be received by your local clerk's office by 2 p.m. on the Saturday before Election Day, which would be October 31st. Now, you can spoil your absent voter ballot in person. To spoil your Michigan absent voter ballot in person, visit your local clerk's office anytime before 4 p.m. on Monday before Election Day, which would be November 2nd. The voter can then decide to obtain a new absent voter ballot or cast their new vote at their polling precinct on November 3rd. Okay? There is no option to spoil a vote made in the 2020 general election on Election Day. Okay? Okay. Let's see if we have any other information. Okay, I want to thank Ken Haddad, Haddad, for this information, okay? And he is the digital content manager for WDIV, clickondetroit.com. He put this out for all of us, and I am translating it to you. And he published this September 24th, 2020. And it's called Michigan Voting by Mail, How to Make Sure You Fill Out Your Ballot Correctly. I want to thank you, and the web producer is Cassidy and John Cox, okay? We thank you very much for this information. Everybody is working so hard to make sure that we American voters know the truth, have facts, so that we can vote in this election safely, correctly, and make sure our votes are counted. We just need to be patient. There are even, I saw a report from a European news station that was clarifying it was something on Twitter that was talking about a candidate that the candidate had violated some sort of election law, and they pointed out in detail that the candidate had not violated the election law. We need to be so sure of our facts. Okay? Don't believe everything. Check. That's why I'm telling you. Go to michigan.gov. Check everything. Call your clerk's office. Know for yourself. Okay? Listen, I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. I want to bless everyone who's voting, and anybody who decides they don't want to vote. Look, let me give you some suggestions. I think that people who do not want to vote might not trust the operation of voting. What I want you guys to do is that if you've decided you're not going to vote in this election, there are still upcoming elections. We still have voting to do in the future. I want you to start attending candidate forums. Hear the candidates. Hear the candidate, regardless if what party they're in. Go to these candidate forums. Sometimes the League of Women Voters have them. Sometimes other people put them on. Look, go to these forums and hear what everybody is saying, regardless of what party they're with. Okay? Know your voting rights. You have questions? Ask your Secretary of State. Go to the website. Ask your city clerk. Okay? If you're not sure how to fill out a ballot, when you receive your ballot, we talked about it just now, but you can call your clerk's office. They will help you. If you fear to vote or you think your vote doesn't matter, that's not true. Your vote is your voice. I want you to know that I believed so much in the collective power of our vote that I started Vote Voice just to get the word out. And there's lots of people like me who are out there getting the word out. Okay, there's the League of Women Voters, there's the NAACP, there's the Western Wayne branch of the NAACP, there's the Detroit branch, there is Operation Refuge, voter empowerment, there's Empowered Voters. Listen, I want you to do everything in your power. If you've decided not to vote, I just want you to take a look at both candidates. Okay, I want you to take a look at your senators and your congresswomen. See what they're talking about. Become informed. And I think that will give you the security and trust you need, because you would have heard them with their own mouths. It does make a difference to attend these forums. It really does, because you hear and see people. And when people stand up in front of you and speak, I know there's forums that go on with the NAACP, and there's lots of forums that had gone on online, but you can hear people and see people and make your own decision. Make an informed decision yourself. So for everyone who doesn't want to vote, even if you've decided, and we can't change your mind, but if you do change your mind, go to michigan.gov, find your polling place. Okay, michigan.gov, find your clerk's office, go in, and if you do not have your ballot, you can't find it, go in, ask for an application, take your ID and your proof of your address if you have, and if you don't, you can just sign an affidavit. Go to the polls, okay, take your ID and your proof of your living address, but if you don't have that, you can sign an affidavit even at the polls. Remember, you have until November 3rd, until 8 p.m. to change your mind and cast a ballot. Okay? Okay. I want to thank everyone for listening. God bless you. I appreciate you. And everyone have a wonderful day, and just have faith, have courage, and just know we appreciate you. We think highly of all of our voters out there, and everyone who's decided not to vote. We love you anyway, and we know that eventually you'll be able to trust in the system enough to vote. God bless you. This is Donna Miller from Vote Voice. Remember, we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Remember, we're at www.votevoice.com. And I thank you very much. Leave me a message if you want to have, any comments about the podcast. I would appreciate it. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.